welcome to episode 9 of the barn door restoration. Last episode, I removed rust from the rear frame. This episode, I disassembled the front frame. So first, a little about why I've gone to this level of disassembly. The main thing is to get access. Because this type of restoration, I want it to look completely factory, which means not having any spots that show that they've been welded, or so the metal needs to be finished inside and outside. And the only easy way to do that is to actually take this stuff apart so I can repair each piece and then weld them back together. So that's basically why I did it. Different types of restoration, you wouldn't have had to take it apart. I could have just cut sections out and welded them right on the jig. It's a little bit more of a pain trying to work around the jig and stuff. And you couldn't have really finished the metal as well, or it would have been much more difficult. So this, for me, will be a lot faster. And then I can assemble everything the way it was assembled at the factory, so all my welds are correct and it looks good. So the first thing I did was to print out all my drawings and measure everything to make sure my drawings are correct, because I didn't want to have any mistakes when I go to put it back together. So after that, the first thing to remove is the upright panels that made the sides of the underseat storage box. So these go on the frames, wrong way, and they were just basically spot welded on. So drilled spot welds. The bottom section was rusty and needed to be replaced anyway. So I just cut it with the grinder, and I'll rebuild the bottom part, which is basically just flat steel with a couple lips. And then I'll cut and butt weld these and build one part out of them. Because the top section of these are actually really nice shape. And it's got all these little formed pressed pieces, which are nice not to have to recreate those. So after I get both sides off, I then wanted to remove this support. I keep calling it a splash shield, but it's more of a structural support. It's quite heavy steel. It goes between the frames. This is a bit of a pain to get off, so I had a bit of a hack job on the left side trying to get it off. I didn't realize how many layers of steel and how they're welded together. So it turns out the upright pieces are spot welded to this cross member, and then these structural pieces are welded onto that again. So there's spots where it was welded through 3 layers of steel. So it made it kind of hard to get apart. Because originally I thought that I could just, since I was replacing the inner piece, I could just cut each side and this would fall out. Because this was in nice shape. I didn't want to cut this part. I wanted to just save this part, clean it up, and it was good to go. So no big deal. It was just a bit of a pain here, but once I learned what was in there, this side went much faster. Once I remove all the excess metal here, I can clean that up. And this reinforcement brace was a little rusty there, so I could fix it up too. So once this was out, I also removed the cross member for the pedals. And this also is the steering box brace. So that's obviously going to have to be rebuilt. But the main bar is still good. Where the pedals meet and the park brake lever meets, they're still in pretty good shape. These actually pass through the frame rails and are welded on the outside. But because the frame rails are quite rusty up there, I figure it's easier to just cut them out, and then I'll replace that metal and then put them through a new hole and weld them. So the whole front come apart pretty quick. It's going to be quite time consuming now to clean all this old metal off, because some of the spots are continuously welded. Now I need to cut that weld out without damaging the metal that I want to keep. So now that I have this all apart, I can start cleaning these parts up and get ready to rebuild them. So my next episode is actually going to be cleaning all these parts, removing all the metal that I don't want to keep, cleaning everything, and then media blasting them. So they'll all be ready to start reassembling. So it's one more episode of making things smaller, and then I should start putting them back together, which will be fun. So I guess that's all I wanted to cover for this episode. Keep watching, and there's a video of disassembling this, and there's some detailed video of the parts. So if you like these videos, please subscribe so you don't miss the next ones. And thanks for watching.